I once had such a conversation with somebody and it moved me. And I wish I could share the conversation with all of you, but I can't. Because the stuff that we talked was so personal to that person. But what I can do is give you this poem in which I liken that conversation to exploring a building. So this poem is called A Personal Question. The meteorites of war fell all around. The Luftwaffe, the German Air Force, had lit up the sky just to watch iron fall into a bed of buildings, which like fingers from a million hands accepted them the way Jesus' fingers might have accepted Roman nails. Or at least it looked like that. After the noises of angry nations had drained themselves, I was just looking for shelter. Somewhere I could feel at home, like the home that I just lost. On a street that looked the same as every other street now did, I found the door unlocked. And I walked in and I latched the door behind me. And I was immediately surprised by the way the room was set up. There was a rack of prayer shawls to the right, around 15 chairs, and at the other end, a small table upon which there was a scroll. I recognized the script, it was Hebrew. I was, in fact, standing in what seemed to be a makeshift synagogue. But what was most shocking about this abandoned building was the gaping hole in the middle of the floor. I just couldn't figure out what could have made a hole like that. And who would make it? And why here in such a beautiful little place that seemed to bring strength and faith and love to this little community? I was overtaken by curiosity. And I had to know what caused it. And I had to know what was down there. So I looked around the room and I found a door. I tried the handle, it didn't work. It didn't seem locked though. So I tried pushing at it with my shoulder, it didn't work. I tried both at the same time, it did not work. I figured out this was not going to be straightforward. So I looked closely at the door for a minute and I saw that the hinges were on the outside. So I used my pocket knife and unscrewed the hinge gently, each hinge, and the door comes open and I lifted it off from the frame and I entered. Now the next room was darker. I had to use my lighter to see. And as I navigated what seemed like a ransacked bedroom, I tried my best not to step on the belongings of whoever owned the place. It definitely was a nice room. Attention to detail could be seen in the matched furniture and the pretty picture frames. I felt the memories of a person who appreciated the finer things but valued the little things too. And I had to move slowly though. There was broken glass everywhere. From a large mirror that now reflected my little flame like 1,000 burning eyes on the floor. They saw me here, threatened me as I tread. But with a little patience, I made it across the staircase and spiraled down deeper into this mysterious structure. I was met with a short corridor with tall stacks of boxes, belongings stuffed into them but never taken, probably for lack of time. And as I passed by them, I saw a mysterious piece of cloth peek out from one, and I couldn't stop myself from tugging at it. Very bad idea. An angry cave-in came down on me as the stacks fell, all but blocking my way forward. And carefully, I had to stack them back one on top of another, while ignoring my bruises and strained tendons, while I cleared a path just wide enough for my ankles. I had to shuffle through, but I made it across. This must be it, I said to myself, still dusting my shoulders off. My sense of direction told me that this was the final door, but it was padlocked, and the latch was rusted. It looked like, I looked at it and I was almost ready to give up. But something told me to try. So I put my hands on the lock and I pulled, and the rusted nails of the latch let go easily. The whole assembly came off, and the door trustingly creaked open, almost on its own, and revealed a sight that stopped me cold. I couldn't believe what I had stumbled upon. Sitting in front of me, crashed in the middle of what once was a living room, was an unexploded warhead that had crashed through the roof and through the floor of the synagogue above and sat there bathed in moonlight shining through as if to say it was obvious that it would be here if only I'd looked at it from the right angle. I had come so far and I now wasn't sure whether I could even take a step forward. Was this why the house was abandoned in such haste? Was this why all the doors were locked? And yet the walls breathed, pulled me to take a step forward, and another step forward. The steel cylinder and its sharp little wings at the end, another shaky step forward. As a soft draft from nowhere egged me on, I reached out, my fingers inches away, my palms felt the cold steel, and the closer I got, the more I was reassured that it was not live. It had simply torn a hole through the building to lie there. Perhaps it was something about this house that stopped it from exploding, instead making it a heart of its foundation. Just another burden to bear, like the weight of the prayers above, the weight of hope, the weight of faith. It held now the weight of my doubt. And in that moment, I felt a little lighter.